Hey everybody, I am Big Will, and this gentleman with me is DS Comics.
What's up?
We're going to talk about some books I got back, as well as a few other things for about 20, 30 minutes or so, or whatever. He says he has an hour, but I'm going to try not to take it all from him. We off air, we're talking about CBCS. As you know from my thumbnail and the title, CBCS is where I sent these books that I recently got back. And I had mentioned to him that I didn't get the new cases. And go ahead and tell everyone who'll be watching this what you told me about that.
All right, so the CBCS said they were going to release new cases on, let me know if I get this right, April 1st, I believe. And then all this corona stuff got worse across the country, and everything, pretty much all the states just locked down. I think CBCS was affected, and I think maybe they either weren't open or something was going on. But in any event, April 1st came and went. And that week, I sent Steve Borak a message on Instagram, which he's actually pretty responsive. He doesn't get back to people right away, but I mean, I think he's pretty responsive to any questions he gets. Within a few days, he hit me back and he said that they've decided to hold off, unveiling the new cases until all this corona stuff is done. So since then, CBCS is open. They're grading books. They have not unveiled the new holder, and they've basically, from what I understood and what he told me, is they put the new holder on hold until all this is done, and when everything's done and we're back to normal, they will unveil the new case. That's what he told me. I was kind of surprised because they're competing with CGC, and that's a huge deal to get a new holder. And both they and CGC are up and running and grading books. Now, I know everybody's affected and everybody is limited, especially businesses, to some degree.
Yeah.
CBCS and CGC are both up and running. I would unveil that case and get it out there on social media and let people know. But he's holding off until it's over.
I makes no sense to me, but I mean, hey, what you gonna do?
Well, I mean, yeah, and we can sit here and say what we would do, but I mean, he runs the company. He knows what they're dealing with. He knows, I mean, that's the decision he made. I trust his decision. I mean, he's his company. He knows what he's doing, but it's disappointing for a lot of collectors who are really looking forward to sending books to them, assuming the new holder is much better than the old one, including me. Now, I've got books. When I get these ready to go, if he hasn't unveiled it, I've got books to sell. I've got money to make, so I'll send them to CGC. If he unveils that, I'll try him out.
And let's go ahead and say we got a few people in here. Tina's in here. How you doing, Tina? We got CFAT, and Comic Don is here. And thank you. I appreciate it. I still don't feel too good, but I'm forcing myself to do a little bit here and there. That way I can maybe, get over this thing and get back to it. But unlike DS, I did not have corona. I have a disease that acts up sometimes, and that's what I'm trying to get over. But anyway, to your point about you can't just wait on them until they decide to get their new cases. And I can't wait on them either. So I also have a bunch of books that I want to get graded in a 9.8. So what I've decided is everything that I sent out, I have back. I have nothing being graded at the moment. So what I'm going to do is get a pre-screen order ready for CGC of 25 books, and I'm going to send that. But the problem is I'm having to wait to get specific books to send because I want the custom label on a bunch of these. Like I have some Wolverine books. I want to get that Wolverine label,
Yeah.
So the only way to get the custom label on a pre-screen order for CGC is every single book that you send, which is a minimum of 25, has to have a custom label on it. And that means it's only certain books, like Spider-Man titles, for example, or Venom titles, or Wolverine titles, or X-Men titles. That's it. You can't send in a Nova and get it in, and you can't send anything DC in and get a custom label. So I'm having to wait till I get 25 books that I can put a custom label on in order to send the order of 25 in for pre-screen. And I can tell you right now, some of these I'm going to be sending, I know for a fact will not get graded but that's okay because that means instead of being $30 or $40, it'll be $5, and that's it. So that's
I don't ever have 25 modern or super high grade books to pre-screen. So I have never used the pre-screen, but my philosophy on it, and this again, coming from someone who's never used it, it costs enough for me to get books graded. I don't want to pay to not get them graded. But if I had a stack of moderns, like 25 of them that were all 9.8 candidates, I might do a pre-screen. That's how I would do it. But otherwise, I've never done a pre-screen.
Well, my issue is most of these books, if they're not a 9.8, then it's not worth it to get them graded. So that's worth me sending in a few that I know are going to cost me $5 to not grade. That way I can make sure the ones that are 9.8 get the 9.8.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I can't highlight you on StreamYard yet, but the Comics on the Edge here says he just sent out 22 books to CGC yesterday.
Yeah, that's a nice package there, 22. I usually only send, I go by 15 at a time. It's just my personal preference because the boxes, when they come back, they're so heavy that I've sent 25 book submissions in, that box is so heavy. I feel like the heavy box has more chance of being damaged, but they pack really well. But I just do 15 at a time because I can get them out the door quicker and it's a smaller package coming back. But 22, that's a really, really nice submission. Yeah,
I've sent 30 books before and got them back. And there was one big, huge thing. And then there was another box that they sent. But, I normally send 4 or 5 when I send, because up to 5, your shipping is going to be the same price. It's only after 5 books where it depends on what you put as your value, as far as how much you're going to get charged for shipping and insurance and all that. But up to 5, it's the same price as 1.
What do you use for your return shipping, Will?
Well, I usually use, because I have collectibles insurance, I just do UPS, because out of UPS versus FedEx, I prefer UPS.
Yeah,
and they only give you $100 worth of insurance unless you have your own thing, which I do not. But I'm covered because I have collectibles insurance, and that's usually cheaper. If I wanted full coverage from the entity that's shipping, I would have to go with the USPS, and it would be usually twice as much as the UPS or the FedEx.
Yeah, I use USPS, and I don't know the cost. It's usually maybe $40, 35 to $40 for USPS return shipping. And I know that's insured up to, I mean, you can actually, they send it certified. I think it's insurable for whatever.
It's insured for the full amount you tell them that it's worth.
And it's really, I think it's like 35 or $40 is basically what my submissions run for USPS. But I like it because I definitely prefer UPS over FedEx. But for both of those, if I'm not here when it comes, they put a thing on my door and then they're going to try again. Well, if they do it a Monday at 2 p.m. or Tuesday at 2 p.m. or something, I'm not here Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So the post office will put a note, but then you just keep it at the post office and I can just pick it up whenever. So if I miss it, I like to go to the post office and just pick it up rather than wait for the redelivery from FedEx or UPS.
Well, I'm lucky in the fact that, first off, my parents are my neighbors. So there's always someone here. And number 2, I live close to a distribution center for UPS. So if they don't get me in a couple tries, it's just over there, and I just got to drive there and get it.
Yeah, mine's a half-hour away to pick it up from them. But if I had like my job office or some other business address, I would use probably UPS. And if I had my parents living next door or I lived that close to distribution center, I would probably use them too. But I don't have any of those options, so I just use USPS.
Yeah, everyone's unique. That's why I'm glad they have the 3 options for everyone. But anyway, what do you say we get through these 4 books and talk about them?
Yeah, let's do it.
So my first book, and I'll tell you, I am amazed at how fast this was done. These were pressed, cleaned, and graded by CBCS. I sent it out on March 22nd, and of course they said they shut down, and they didn't start back up till maybe the second week of April. And pressing is running like, I fast tracked all these, by the way. So pressing was going to be 5 weeks, and the grading was going to be 3 weeks. So that's 8 weeks. Second, third, fourth week of April, first, second, third, week in May. I'm not even at the time yet, but I've already got them back. I got them back Friday. So I'm amazed at how fast they did these, and I've actually already looked them over and everything, because these are books to sell. So I don't wait to see the grade, for books that I'm going to be selling. And they didn't mess up. Unlike my last CGC order, they pressed clean. They're all good to go. I agree with the grades, but I am disappointed in one, and I'll let you know. Here's the first book. I don't really know what you're asking, CFAP. Maybe you try again, and we'll see if we can answer you there. I think DS is looking for. But anyway, this is the first book, Alf 48. This is I like this book. It's sort of a rare book, actually. And do you know why it's considered a rare book?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they did huge print runs on the Alf title.
They did not.
And that's one of those cool, quirky, novelty sort of books from the 80s that people really.
It looks like he's raping the seal. That's why everyone wants it. It's like that rifleman cover with the wood.
Yep.
So Alf 48, this is a newsstand, and CBCS actually notates newsstand, and they separate them. Now, I noticed when I was looking at the census, they have got to work on their population report census at CBCS, because this book was graded and shipped out. I got it Friday. They still haven't put it on the census yet. And it's the highest graded copy at CBCS. But yet it's still not on the census. And the grade is 9.2.
Nice.
Now, I obviously would prefer to 9.8 if I could get it. But I knew I wasn't going to get a 9.8. But the great thing about books being like this one, which is rare, is that even though it's a modern, in a 9.2, this is still a little over a $200 book.
Wow, nice.
So I'm selling it for $200 shipped to anyone that wants it. I actually put it on the IG chat that we have. I'm sure you saw my post.
I saw it on there.
Yeah. But anyway, this book is rare enough that CBCS, unless someone got one graded on Friday, this is the 5th copy that they have graded. And it's the highest graded copy that CBCS has graded. CGC has yet to crack 100 copies of this book, and only 7 are in a 9.8. So,
yeah, that's a pretty good grade for that book.
Yeah.
What year is that from?
It's, believe it or not, it's actually from 91.
91. Okay, so newsstand's going to be pretty rare for that book too.
Yeah. So I expect it to be gone, by the weekend. Or by tomorrow night, I expect someone probably would say, "Hey, I want that." Yeah, so that's my first book, and I was hoping for more, but I know and understand why it's a 9.2, and I'm happy with a 9.2 on that.
Well, and I trust CBCS grading and CGC grading. I think they both grade equally and as consistently as each other and as accurately as each other. So I'm not one of those that thinks the grading between the two is different or whatever. I think they're both good, solid graders. So.
I've got a book I'll show you that's going to cast doubt on that here in a second.
All right, we'll see.
But I do agree that CBCS is a good grading company. The only grading company that I would distrust, there are things I like and don't like about every grading company, but the only one I distrust is PGX.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't even consider them to be in the debate for grading, really.
Yeah. Anyway, we all know what this book is. It's the first appearance of Omega Red, X-Men #4. And it got what I expected it would get, and it was very nice. 9.8.
Nice.
So this book is on eBay because I can get more for eBay even with the fees than I can selling it to you guys, because I'm going to sell it to you guys at a deal. So that's why I'm going on eBay. I can get as much as I can out of it. But anyway, yeah, this is a good book to have and sell, because you can buy it raw still really cheap, but yet in a 9.8 at least, it's going about $150 right now, which is amazing, because it's what, even half the printing of the number one. That's like 4 million copies.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those out there, but there's a lot of people looking for it, and it's an affordable key that appeals to a lot of collectors who are now in the hobby. Remember buying that book off the newsstand and want it back now. It has some key value. It has some spec value. It's not expensive. It's got really cool art and story. Honestly, it is a cool book. And so there's a lot of people looking for it, and that keeps the price decent for what it is. It's a nice little affordable spec key.
And who that Chad is talking to me about it. And this next book is one that I was hoping it would be a 9.0, but it's not. It's lower, but it's not far off, and it's still a good book to have. New Teen Titans #2, First Deathstroke, in an 8.5. And this is a perfect example of sometimes you just can't see what's wrong unless you have excellent lighting or a black light. And it has foxing on the top edge that you can barely see. In this lighting I can't see it at all. Yeah,
foxing is, for those who are listening and watching the replay and aren't familiar with foxing, foxing is a discoloration of contaminants in the paper. And over time, those contaminants will generally will brown over time. A lot of it's metallic contaminants in the paper. And so it's like this brown spotting along the edges, and that's what foxing is. You can get pretty high grades with foxing. I mean, depending on how extensive it is, how much of an area it covers, and how bad it is. But I've had books in the 9s with light foxing. But then sometimes heavy foxing, it's going to drop it down. So it's like not as bad as stains, but it's like stains' lesser cousin, sort of, for a grading.
Right. So I was hoping this would be a 9.0, maybe a 9.2, but because of that foxing, I couldn't really see. And I didn't grade these, by the way. That's a thing for 2020 I've started doing, where I've done videos on going through a book and all that. I didn't do that with these, because these books, with what they are and with what I paid for them, I had to grade them to sell them. It would not be a good idea to sell these raw. But this is still good. Even in an 8.5, I'm looking at a little over $100.
Yeah, that's a good book, and it's very liquid as far as comic books go. That was sell quick. So that's a good one.
The one I was disappointed in, this is the last one, then we'll just shoot the breeze for a little bit. This one I was very disappointed in. And again, with my lighting and the fact I didn't really grade them, I totally understand what went wrong here, and I was able to see it after breaking out the black light and going over it. So I completely agree with the grade, but I'm sad about it because it messes with the value. But this is Spawn #9, Newsstand.
That's a cool book.
Yeah, it's a very rare book. In a 9.8, I think it's selling for like $500. So I was obviously hoping this would be good, but I got a 9.0. And the reason I got a 9.0 is there is heavy foxing all over the front cover.
Really?
Yeah, you can't really see it, but if I were to take a black light over this thing, it's all over there, man. It's like, it must be on more of the interior of the cover, but yeah, you can see it when you go over it. But just looking at it like this, you'd never be able to tell. But it's mainly foxing that got it this grade, a 9.0. If it wasn't,
all of those issues show up. You got to look at the inside covers, even on like copper, early modern stuff. Stuff like cover tanning, you can't always see on the front if like it's a darker cover colors. When you open up though, on the inside, they just have the black and white ad. You can see the tanning, you can see foxing, you can see stains. Always good to look at the inside.
Like I said though, I didn't bother grading these because I had to get them graded to sell them. So that's why I didn't see it. But anyway, yeah, foxing, it hurts the grade if you're not careful, man. If it wasn't for the foxing, this thing would probably be a 9.4.
Yeah, but it still looks really sharp, and it should go pretty quick.
I'm surprised they didn't put the check mark on it. You know, they do a check mark if it appears better than it actually is. Like if it looks like a 9.8, but it's a 9.4, they'll put a check mark. I'm surprised they didn't on this one, but anyway, so I got a 9.0. So this one and the last one I showed, because of what I paid, what it cost to grade, and what they're worth currently, I'm just going to hold on to them for a little while until I figure out when's a good time to sell them and what I want to do. They're both going to sell. The only question is for how much, but they're desirable books, so I know they'll sell. But the other two, the X-Men and the Alf, I'm selling them now. Anyway, so what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, they're good books. They're all very liquid. They all sell quick, and it's just depending on price and how much do you want out of them and where do you want to sell them. I would throw them up on Instagram at like 10% under GPA. And then
if you look at past sales and eBay, the Alf is going for a little north of 200. Right now I have it on Instagram for 200 shipped. So I expect that to sell. The X-Men is selling for about 150-ish, but according to Go Collect, when you look at sales, it's like 150. But when they do their averaging, they put it at like 180. And if you look on eBay, it's 180. People are asking for 250 for it and stuff like that. So I have it for 200 or best offer. And the first person that goes between 150 and 200, I'm selling it because even with fees, I'm still good to go.
Yeah, I don't know.
I told it to you guys, I would sell it for like 140 or 150 shipped, and I want to make that few extra bucks. So that's why this one's on eBay.
I'll tell you, a book like that, depending on how much you have in it, but if you find that book,
I bought it for $8.
$8, I'd probably put it at like 135 plus shipping, and just sail it away and move it quick. But I don't look at GPA that much to sell. Sort of. I mean, I look at GPA to see what buyers are going to expect or think about what they want to pay for a book. So that's like
that's why I do it, and I price it accordingly.
And then I decide what I have into the book, and I try to make a profit, but I try to put it so that it looks most attractive to buyers out of all the ones out there, so it goes quick. I'm not worried about breaking GPA records or getting GPA. I want to get a profit, but I want to see what buyers are sort of looking for and make mine very attractive to them, and then get a profit. So I sell books under GPA all the time. If I have $8 in a book, I'll sell it for 125 if it's going for 150 or 160, and then it'll move quick.
Yeah, it depends on what I have in it versus what I think I can get out of it. Like if well, never mind. But I have to highlight this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the Corona hair going. I can shave myself, but I don't do my own haircuts. So I'm having to deal with some things. But here's a book. This is Black Science #1, CGC 9.8. But, and by the way, this was pressed and cleaned by CCS. Let me see if I can show you.
Yeah, it's terrible.
See that?
Yeah.
Not done though. Check this out. Oh, excuse me, wrong side.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even clean.
See that?
Yep.
So
everything was touched.
This is not a 9.8 according to me.
No, and you know what? You can't. I mean, for me, I wouldn't sell that book as a 9.8 because somebody's going to send it back. So you got, look, I stopped using CCS, and that was the last straw that got me to start cleaning and pressing my own. CCS does a crap job. They damage books. They tore the covers off several books of mine.
I swore off CCS in January, February, when after I had heard horror stories and got a few of my own. Of course, I didn't have anything destroyed or anything, but because this was CCS, this was from last year, and it just now got to me.
Yeah, and that's how long it
So
takes too.
it takes forever. So that's why I'm showing you a book that I recently got from CCS. But I haven't used them, and I'm not going to use them. You know, that was a January, maybe February thing, but this was just sent in last year. So that, but anyway, it's just another example of yeah, I'm not doing CCS anymore. But I don't know why they got a 9.8, because grading is a separate thing from pressing and cleaning. But I still think CGC does an overall good job. I like CBCS's grading a little bit better, but unless it's a rare case like this where it's obviously not, I'm going to agree most of the time with CBCS or CGC. I'm not, going to down one over the other, really.
Yeah, I'll tell you though, the grading at CGC, the most inconsistencies I feel like occur on modern books because they get so many high grade modern books that they're trying to crank out. That's where the mistakes happen. That's where the inconsistencies are. I send in gold, silver, and bronze all the time, and it's rare that it comes back and I think the grade is way off. Sometimes I was hoping for a little higher, or I thought it was a little lower, but I'm not a professional. But there's maybe one or two in like the last 8 months that come to mind that I think CGC messed up. And yeah, so that's it. I mean, if you're sending high grade moderns in, I feel like the chances for inconsistencies like that are more common because I don't see it that often in the stuff I submit.
Yeah. So I have done already sworn them off, and that's just reiterating the point I already came to. Don't use CCS.
Yeah.
But I have experience with CBCS's pressing. They're fast and they're good. I haven't heard anything bad about them. I haven't had any bad experience. I haven't had anything that I was iffy on. So I would say if you want to use them, go ahead. I usually like to use them if I'm doing a book that could be expensive, but I have used E-Rod before, and I know there's some other guys. Yeah, I'm just a little iffy about it, but yeah. They're also faster at CBCS. I don't have to wait, like Hudat mentioned, 6 months.
Well, if I were going to use a pressing service that was not like somebody in the community or a friend or something, I would trust CBCS. I've never tried their pressing, but I've heard just from you today and some other people that they've done a good job. I would try them out. Hero Restoration does a decent job. I think he handles a high volume though, so if it's not higher books, sometimes they don't get the attention they deserve, I think. But otherwise, I mean, the thing to do is just take the jump, buy a cheap press, and try it yourself. And I guarantee you get good results. And that's the turnaround time. I'm a slow presser, and I can do 10 books in 10 days. You know what I mean? So that's faster than any of these companies out here. So yeah, I wouldn't use CCS at all though, but CBCS is probably all right.
Man, I hate how StreamYard doesn't do it. There it is. Wanted to highlight that comment. Had to wait for it to pop up. But yeah, there's no way I can do it, man. Just with not that I could figure it out. It's not that. It's the having a space set up, taking the time to figure it out. No, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I do it because I like it. I like relying on myself. I like learning it. It's like a new skill or a new part of the hobby to learn. And so I enjoy it. But yeah,
I take care of it a different way myself. I've just gotten better at grading so that when I buy a book, I know what the grade is, I know what to pay, and I know what I can sell it for. So I also know if grading is going to help it. That way I don't really have to worry about pressing because I'm buying it and knowing what I'm buying rather than, hoping that a press will work out. And then course, there's also, if you know what to look for with pressing, like you've bought books just because you thought you could get them pressed and get a bump.
Yeah.
And that I haven't done yet. But if you get good at grading, you can spot those things too.
Yeah, I probably had, since I've started pressing, which probably about a year now I've been pressing, give or take. I don't know exactly when I started, but it's been about a year. And in that time, I've probably bought, I don't know, 10 or 12 slabs that I've bought specifically to crack and clean and press and resubmit. Like 10 or 12, I don't know. You can probably find most of them on my Instagram, but of all of those, I think I've got maybe 2 that didn't get a bump. They came back same grade. Everything else went up either. I think the highest bump I've gotten though, I think is only 1 full point.
Hey, depending on the book.
Bump. But I've only done like 10 or 12. I haven't done a ton of them. I've got some more here that I haven't sent in yet, including this one.
But depending on the book, though, a half point or a whole point is hundreds.
Yeah, I mean, I had a Thor 165 I got a full point on. I had an ASM 122 I got a full point on. I might have got higher on something else, but I don't think so. But yeah, but I try to buy those. Like that ASM 122 was a 6.0 with a cracked case that I got for a steal for a 6.0. And then I cracked it, pressed it, I got a 7.0. So I sold it for 7.0 price, but I got it for like 5.0 price. So the price range was 2 full point difference, whereas the grading range was 1 point. But I got it cheap as a 6.0 because the case was cracked. So
yeah, that's where you make your money is at the buy. Like, since this is on eBay, I'll go ahead and tell everyone I bought it for about $8, and when you add in the fast tracked pressing and cleaning and everything, I have $51 in it, and it's probably going to sell for over 150.
Yeah, nice. That's pretty awesome profit.
Yeah, and you know, every one of these that I'm selling, except for maybe the spawn, will be at profit. The only question is how much profit. This one is the one I was worried about because I knew it had a few problems, and I was hoping, you know, luckily I got an 8.5, but I'm not going to make but maybe between $10 and $35 profit. I don't know what I'm going to make because I'm not selling it at the moment, but I'll tell you right now, I paid like $90 for the book, and then you have to add in grading, so that's like $130 or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's just a little over $100 is what it's selling for right now. Last time I checked, so I'm gonna have to wait and figure out what to do. I'll probably make a profit, but I might have to deal with just a break even on it, which is fine. As long as you don't lose money, it's fine. But still.
Well, I'll tell you, I have books. When I sell a book, I try to have 2 categories. I try to have a win category, which is 25% or up profit. Everything said and done, 25% or up for profit. That's a win. Anything less than that, if it's like 20% on either side of what I paid, it could be a small loss or a small gain. I just call those break evens, because I'll sell a book for $20 profit and then I'll sell one at $20 loss. I just group those all in as break evens. It's all sort of like give or take break even, and I try to make that category smaller than my win category so that overall it's profits that pile up. But I don't like taking a loss. Sometimes I bought a book, the Golden Age book, that I thought was a 5.0 to 5.5, but they hammered it at CGC. It had a lot of sort of oiling and staining issues that were not readily apparent to the degree they were to me, and I misjudged that, and they gave me a 3.0. So I lost 35% on that book, 40% on that book, but it wasn't a small book, so that was a lot of money. And I
know what your answer is, but I'll let you answer for yourself, and then I'll give my answer.
Oh, you want me to answer it first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I don't rely on it. So if, for instance, all of my comics and everything I had here evaporated into thin air, I'll survive because I have a real day job. I make money to pay my bills. So I don't rely on it, but I use it a lot to help my life, to pay bills and stuff like that. So I utilize it in a manner that when I have a stretch where I'm doing really well, I have a lot more money in my real life to work with, to pay bills, to buy things, to do repairs on whatever. So, yeah. So,
and as for me, I am, as of right now, no, but yes, I am trying to make it into a business, but maybe not necessarily to sustain my life. But yes, I am trying to go for a business. And to this point, maybe I try to do 50% or more, preferably double when I sell. But it depends. Like if you're talking about a $100 book, yeah, 25 may not be enough. But DS usually talks about
well, yeah, I mean, I just
$5,000 books.
well, for instance, in the last week, let's say 2 weeks. In the last 2 weeks, I've sold. Here's a couple of books I sold. I sold a book that I bought for $700. I sold it for $1,300. So that was a massive profit, but that was $600. That's more than I make in my day job in a week for one book profit. Another book I bought for $700 and I sold for $1,250. Had to pay eBay fees on that, but still about between $400 and $500 profit on that book. That was a very high percentage. That's probably like 70%. Then I have smaller books in the $300 to $400 range that I've sold for $500. I had a Tech 359 that I paid $400 for and sold it for $540 or $530. So that was like 25 to 30%, but it was $100 and something. And I do enough of these, it adds up. I mean, 25% is more than you're going to get in the stock market unless you're lucky and brilliant and at the right timing. You're not going to get 25% on most investments or stuff you do. And if you're turning, $1,000 of books a week, which is not a lot, you can turn $1,000 of books a week. That's $250 extra in your life. Now, my day job, I bring home about $500 a week at my day job. I live small. I don't have a lot of heavy expenses or anything. I don't have a car payment. So if I'm bringing home $500 a week from my day job, if I can add $250 a week from comics, that's a massive raise. Now, if you're making $100,000 at your day job and you're pulling in $250 a week off comics, it's not going to make much of a difference. But yeah, you can, 10% on a $2,000 book. That's a chunk of change, man. That's $200. That pays a phone bill or a.
Also think about it like this. If you're doing one book every couple of weeks, well, yeah, okay, maybe it's not enough. But if you do multiple books, 25% is probably enough or more than enough, because if you think about it, the entire food industry usually runs on what? Less than a 20% margin?
How much?
Less than 20?
Oh, it's much less than 20. I mean, I work in the restaurant industry and we're working on 8 to 10% maybe on a good week. I mean, but 25% at a minimum. I have books. I just sold a book for $325 that I bought for $30. So that's like 1,000%. So, it adds up. Over the last month, I've probably turned profits of $5,000 in books. And over the last month, that's more than I made at my day job. Now, not every month is that much profit, but I sold a lot of big books, like multi-$1,000 books. So, yeah, it adds up. And if you get a CGC submission, when I send these books in that I have on the table behind the computer, it's 20 books, probably going to retail when I sell them for $4,000. I probably only have 1,200 in them right now, and with the grading fees, I'll be into them for like 1,500 to 1,600, and I'll probably sell them for $4,000. So, yeah, I mean, it's doable. You can make a living on it, but I'm not relying on it. But I love getting the extra money out of it. Now, sometimes I go dry and I have nothing to sell, or all my books are gone and I have to restock. That's fine. I have a day job, so I don't rely on it, but it definitely helps.
Yeah. Well, I guess with that, I'm going to say if anyone wants that ALF, $200 shipped, if we do the PayPal friends and family. My X-Men's on eBay, and the other two I'm not selling at the moment. they all will be eventually for sale. And who dat, I'm going to do the same thing as far as a 25 book pre-screen order, except all mine are going to have custom labels. So I'm going to try and do a video of the before and the after of that thing, because I have a feeling that's going to be fun. And I can't wait to see how many books come back as a 9.8. But as far as I'm not going to tell you I'll have anything at any certain date. I hope to be making more content soon. I hope to eventually get everything better soon. But with how things are going now and how I'm feeling, I'm not going to have anything scheduled unless, it's talking off air with someone where I can cancel if needed, like I did with DS today. So I have nothing as of right now that I'm going to be dropping in the future. Hopefully I will, but I'm not going to tell you right now. I don't know how I'll feel. DS, do you have anything you're going to be dropping anytime soon?
I had COVID, as you know, so I was out of commission for a couple weeks, and then I fell behind on a lot of stuff. I'm just now getting caught up. So I haven't put out any content in a while, but I'm getting caught up now. So I'm planning on putting some more content out. I wanted to respond to this last thing Rob Boswell said. He asked if my PC, or I guess both of us, does your PC suffer because of this? My PC, I'm more of a comic book investor than I am a collector at this point. I have a PC, but it's basically just books I bought to invest in and will sell at the right time. So my PC is very small and ever changing, but I buy books for value. So if I buy a book and it's currently in my PC, it's just because I haven't sold it yet. And if I bought a book for $2,500, if I can get $3,500 out of it, it won't be my PC anymore. You know what I mean? The books I've sold in the last month were all PC books. But when I have a book, I have 2 books I bought for $700 and I'm getting $1,200 and $1,300 offers on them. They're now out of my PC now. They're gone, because the point of it for me is an investment. And yes, I love the books. I love all the books that come through my hands, and I always have books here, and I always have new books to enjoy. So I think my PC benefits because of it, because I have far more books coming in and out of my life than people who just buy and hold and never move anything out of their PC. So I have the opportunity to buy and sell big books all the time and enjoy a lot more books. So for me, it's more exciting that way. But at any given time, my PC is small, and it's just stuff that I haven't sold yet. Essentially, that's how it works for me.
My PC is not affected because my PC is less than 30 books.
I think I've got currently PC books probably, I don't know, 70 or 75. I've sold off some of the smaller ones at profits recently, so I have some big books. I probably have 70 books, maybe something like that in my PC. But if anybody offers me a nice profit on any of them, they're gone. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, and if you didn't see the comment, Southern Comic Geek, we talked about it at the beginning. No, they have not come out with them yet. So I guess with that, later, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you all for watching. I'm glad I'm back. Hopefully I'll keep coming back and do more stuff soon. Later, everybody.
Catch y'all later.